Good morning. The purpose of this video, and I'll just start it to get it going. We're going to talk about this wind vane. Let me turn down the...
Okay.
There you go.
I'm over here now.
This is a project I started about 3 years ago. Lighthouses and wind vanes are my thing.
Okay. Here's what happened. I don't want to lose this part of the video. I'll take it back to start. Because there's a lot of talking, dialogue. But as I got through the video about, the house got hit by a golf ball. And I was really curious as to who it was and if anything was broken. But I heard a golf ball hit the south side of my house. It goes on almost daily, day in and day out, when it gets busy. By the time I got the computer off my lap and I got out there, they were gone. They were just approaching the green, so they must have hit my house, jumped in the cart, and left. But everything fell apart, and I lost everything. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn my sound off, and I'm going to start the video. This is going to be turned off, and when I start the video, it'll be the video. And then when the ball hits and things fall apart, I'll come back and I'll turn the sound back on. But I'm going to turn it down now. All right. Start recording. Wait a minute. All right. Oh yeah. All right, I'm going to turn this down. All right. Turn it down. I'll probably have to do this again if you're not patient. Here we go. Now I got to turn this one up.
Let me turn down the...
Working on this.
There you go. This is a project I started about 3 years ago. Lighthouses and wind vanes are my thing, okay? I love lighthouses. Pictures of them, books about them, videos about them, anything. The industry that was a lighthouse that flourished until about the last 100 years. But, and wind vanes. Okay? I built a wind vane. I'm going through my, my spiel about what I was doing. But this is all mute because it's not like this anymore. But, the reason I made this wind vane is I made one about 12 years ago. No, more than that. The little girl was 2. She's 15 now, so 13 years ago I made one for a little girl in the family. Had Betty Boop on it, had a lot of white and blue. It had a prop on the front of it. I'd taken one of these wind spinners and I mounted it to a front. You can imagine something like this, all painted with Betty Boop and a wind spinner on the front. Well, that wind spinner was probably 14 or 15 inches, maybe 12 to 15 inches in diameter. And it was right on the front. I had it mounted on the front. And I even took video of it. I don't think I have them anymore. I might have lost them. But I had a video of the night we put it in place. And they had just gotten this golden retriever, Molly. Molly was only a few weeks old. She couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 weeks old. And she was around the whole time in that video as we were mounting this. And I was proud of it, and the little girl was pleased with it. You know, I built it for her. But this was out in the Estrella Dells, okay, across the Gila River. You have to cross the river to get there. And they had a windstorm out there about 1.5 years or 2 years after it was up. It wasn't up too long, and they had a windstorm, and the tips of that diameter, it was spinning so hard that the fan just came apart. It disintegrated. Okay, so that was the end of that wind spinner, and so I decided from then never have a fan vertical, always have it horizontal. And so I'm going to bounce around here, but like to save time, brevity, let's see. All right, when I first mounted it, this was the first time it was mounted. And what you're looking at is an early morning wind. That is usually the early morning wind. It's coming from the east. This morning I was out there, and for about the first few minutes, if you're lucky, that lake will be like a mirror. It's like a mirror. There's no wind. Those cups right there aren't budging. Okay, they're not moving at all. So, but it doesn't take long. As the sun comes up, it starts warming the earth, starts all kinds of radiation and currents, and the wind just starts going crazy. But this is a morning wind, and for the morning crowd, there, I backed out of it. So let's get out of it. We saw it. Let's see if I can get to the one now. This is the same, that's a morning wind. Let's see if I can find the afternoon wind. All right, this is an afternoon wind, okay? Southwest, west, southwest. That wind right there is west, southwest, I think, what they call it. And it's at a pretty good clip. So what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to offer this to the golfers. I played golf a long time. I would have loved to have something like this on one of the holes, especially the par 3 signature hole. Now look how strong that wind is blowing out of southwest. Now if I were back on the tee and I saw this, first of all, I'd be trying to hit a hook. The last thing I'd want to do is hit a fade. I don't want to have an open face, not into that wind if I'm a right-hander. But it's going to help. If I was back there with what I know of golf, I'd be looking up here every time I played this hole. Why? So I'd know which way the wind is going and how hard. Now, if you play that in the morning, and you're back at 132 yards, and you hit a 9-iron. Well, if you get it up in the air with a 9-iron at 132 yards, if you've got a following wind, you might want to go to a pitching wedge. Take a little bit off it, and the thing is the same way this way. If you're playing in the afternoon, you look and you're going right into a dead wind and that thing is spinning hard, you might want to drop down to an 8 or a 7. That's a 2-club wind right there, maybe a 3-club wind. On a cold day, cold afternoon when it's really cold, that's a 3-club wind, the way it's blowing. All right? So I'm trying to help golfers. But we'll get out of this. I've said enough about this. Thank you for watching that and being patient. But now we're going to go back. I made this morning. I made this video this morning. Thanks for being patient while I switch pages. Okay. I made this morning. Like I said, the wind is just starting, but when I was out a half an hour before that, that was early, but that thing was dead quiet, and the lake was like a mirror. But I painted it green to sort of match the environment, the trees, and it's the same green that's the color of the seed box on the tee. I don't think it sticks out, but if somebody had but I've made it high enough so it's easy to see. The women can see it. Everybody can see it. From every tree you can see, from every tee box, I've made it so that you can see it from every tee box. And my only reason, my only logic is to help to be a prop for the golfers who play here, like an old-fashioned prop. You know, it's not an electronic box like your rangefinder. I quit playing golf 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I quit playing golf here. And I just got hit by, did you just hear that? I just got hit by a golf ball. I have to go out and get it later. But it just hit something on my porch. I'm going to go away just for a second, set this aside. I just want to see who's on the tee with me. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get out of that and go to the video I made this morning. All right, and we'll start again, only I'm going to be on this side. And this is that same red and white one that I overhauled. I brought it in. We'll go to another one that was flying up there for a while. But this is green, the same color as the box. And what we're going to do is, for the court, for the lawyer, for everybody out there in YouTube land that is interested in my court case, if you heard the lawyer say, we got people going by his house all the time looking in his yard, this is what we have. There's no sidewalk there. People don't walk by my house daily on a regular basis. The only people who have any access to this yard or should see this yard are people who can't hit the fairway with the golf ball. All right, that long tee you see out there is 177 yards to the middle of the green. And I'm a lot closer than it is. Okay? And like I said before, I'm trying to help golfers pull a club. Now, here's what I built. It flew up there for about 6 months to 9 months. And I had two of them. I was overhauling the other one, and I'm going to give one away, and I let the person I'm going to give it to choose which one they wanted. And they wanted this one, and I let them pick the paint.
We went to Walmart and they picked the color paint they wanted, so I've got about 2 or 3 coats of paint on that. Let me just stop this right here. We'll start again. Now, same thing. PVC caps. I turned it on its side. This is a funnel. This was the blade of a small shovel that you would use in the garden. It came off it had a handle or a shaft about this long with a handle on it, but it was old wood, and so I took the pointed shaft, flattened it out, and this is, I think, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch copper tubing. But this is a little more active than the other one out there because I've got the center point. The one out there has got the center point right here, more forward and a lot more weight. And when I put the center point, wherever this shaft is where it balances out. I put a string around it, and when she will go level, wherever I put it, if I put enough weight here, I have to put enough weight to make sure that it levels out. Once it's leveled out, that's where I put the shaft. And this one, I put the balance point back here. There's a lot of movement and oscillation, a lot more oscillations with this than with the other. The other one, it takes, it's sort of got a lag to it, a dampening. The more you move it past center, the more dampening you have, the weight, everything. And I hope the person I give it to likes it. I had another wind vane that I made for the property about 14 or 15 years ago, but they made me take it down. I got a letter, you did something without permission, and we'll start again. You're going to see the camera goes off. I make it spin again. But this will last forever. This will last forever. It'll never wear out. It's got a bearing. And this is my kayak. I bought this kayak at Goodwill for $75 about 11 years ago when the first opened. I think within 6 months after they opened the door at Goodwill, I bought this kayak for $75. And both ends of the kayak were filled with pool tubes. They had put them in there, put the pool tubes in the end, jammed them in the end for flotation with a lot of foam. I spent a couple of weeks just getting all the foam out. And here are these hatches. I made these straps. I made the hatches. The boat didn't have hatches. I've got rudder cables back here leading out of here. The rudders on it. We're hung the rudders. You can see the rudder cables. There's the rudder. I'm frozen in time with this lawsuit from the HOA. As far as I'm concerned, this HOA lawsuit that may cost me into multiple thousands of dollars is a tempest in a teapot. It's a tempest in a teapot. Okay? We have some real authority people here. Authority freaks. They just love authority. Maybe they've never had friends. Maybe the dog won't play with them. I don't know what their problem is, but when you give them a little authority and you make a rule that you have to have permission, these people go absolutely nuts with it. All right? That wind vane out there isn't hurting anybody. The only people it's hurt is their egos. The people that are on all these committees. I've lectured you before about HOAs. If this HOA was only a year old and they had 7 more years to sell out 2,000 more houses, I wouldn't be getting letters over that wind vane. Nobody would be saying a word to me, all right? Because they don't want to get a reputation. But I'll tell you another thing that happens when they sell out. This comes to my mind. When I first got out here, I was one of the first people, I swear, in Buckeye along Watson Road. This house was one of the first houses built in Parcel 12. One of the first ones. Out of the first 2 pads, one of the houses I bought was the first one out of the first 2 pads laid in Parcel 12. And when I called up to get cable, the cable company, they were so new out here that they had hired a guy to, he was the contractor for him. And he was doing all the installations. And when I called the cable company, they said, well, don't talk to us. Here's the guy's name out there. Call him. He'll get you hooked up. So I called him. We had a conversation. Seemed like we got along. And I said, give me a package, whatever. You know, I don't really want all that stuff. I'm trying to save money. You know, I bought a house out there. But he said, don't worry. I'll set you up with a package. So he set me up with a package that was more than that was on the bill. And nobody said anything to me for 3 or 4 years. It was probably 5 years that for 5 years I was getting History Channel, this channel, that channel, that channel. And he had set it up that way because he was out here doing his thing, hooking people up, trying to get business for the customer. If anybody would have come to me and said, how do you like your Cox service? I love it. I love it. Right? You got good Cox service? Absolutely. I'm not complaining. Well, this is another thing. Not only do they weaponize your architectural committee, and then they find out who wants to be the slave chasers. They want to find out who wants to have a bruised ego if somebody doesn't ask you for permission. Well, what happened was, once they got sold out, they did an audit. Cox came out here and said, okay, now that we've got them all booked, now that we've got all the accounts out there booked through Sundance and they're sold out, time for an audit. Time for an audit. Go out there, and they got one of the biggest human beings I ever met in my life. I could hear him outside my house. You can hear him walking up on the rocks. You hear him outside messing with your box. I was watching TV. I go outside, and it's this huge human being, probably about 275 pounds, about 6'5", 6'4", huge. I'm not going to argue with him. And he's down messing with my cable box. So I go, excuse me? He goes, I work for the cable company. I work for Cox. I said, is there a problem? He goes, no, we're just doing an audit. We're making sure you're going to get everything you're supposed to get. And what he did is, when he left, I come in and turned on the TV. All those channels were gone. I had nothing but basic cable. The basic. And I called up Cox. I tried to plead my case with their customer service. I haven't missed a payment in 5 years. Whatever you tell me to pay, I pay. I didn't do this. But there isn't one channel that I feel like it's worth paying for out here. Cancel my subscription for TV. Cancel it. And the person was backpedaling. Well, you were getting... I don't care. What I have now, the service I have not now, is not worth what I'm paying. So cancel it. And they might have canceled the bill, but they didn't cancel the service. They didn't unhook it for 6 months. So they quit billing me, but I still had the service hooked up to the house. But I knew it was coming to an end, and I got really interested, obsessive compulsive about, what do they call it, over-the-air broadcasting, that every TV station, it's federal law, has to put it out an antenna signal. So I got really into antennas, and I made these antenna displays for my house, and I ran off the antenna for about, well, I'm running off it now. I still don't have TV hooked up. Okay? I might have it now with wired, but with Cox, everything that was feeding broadcast news came from my antennas. I had antennas outside of my house on 315 and antennas in the attic on this house 316. And for 10 years, I lived with antennas without cable. There. But that's what I'm telling you. When you get into a new HOA, they're going to let you get away with so much stuff until they sell out. All right? Now, like I said, this is a Tempest in a Teapot. That wind vane, wind speed indicator, the lighthouse I had out on the line, and if you remember when I was showing the golf course, there's no sidewalk by my house like the lawyer says. Well, did you hear him? Well, there's no wall. People are walking by it. Oh, no, not people are walking by it. The only people who walk by it are people that can't hit the ball straight. All right? A Tempest in a Teapot. You come up with all the rinky-dink, I call it Navy chicken shit. Navy chicken shit. You want to see what the Marines think of Navy chicken shit? Watch Robert Duvall. All right? In that movie, I forget the name of the movie, where he's an F-4 pilot in Beaufort, South Carolina. The Great Santini. Watch that movie. That's what I am. I'm Robert Duvall. I'm a hotshot Marine pilot, and I don't think much of your Navy your Navy chicken shit. It's Navy chicken shit. This is base housing. We write all these rules just to give us a reason to send you letters, just to give us a reason to hire a lawyer. And you're doing all this without giving me a hearing. Nobody will give me a hearing. No HOA member will give me a hearing. And the thing of it is, the town of Buckeye, all the civil engineering in Buckeye, and I've made this request before. Craig Hustis, the mayor, Eric, Osborne, Eric Osborne, the mayor, and everybody from the mayor's office on down, and especially everybody in civil engineering. Y'all know what you did. What we call reverse engineering. You took that plan out here that came out here that had every lot, its elevation set up to drain onto the golf course. Had tract A all set up, was legal as far as flow rate through the pipe and everything else, access easement, and you did what we call reverse engineering. You reversed everything. You went from being a very sophisticated urban model, urban community model, very sophisticated, with all kinds of bells and whistles and interlocks and safety gadgets and emergencies in and out. You took it and you reverse engineered it. Instead of having the water running onto the golf course on my lot, no, you set up my lot to take all the water in the neighborhood. If Tract A would have ever backed up for any reason, all that water was going to take my house off its foundation. There was going to be a river running next to my house. Well, Tract A was safe. Thank you for listening. Tempest in a Teapot.